Yeah.
Awesome. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we'll start the meeting with a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I got quite a few faces out there this evening. It's good to see everybody. I know that you could be spending some time in yards or gardens this evening on a pretty spring evening. Tonight, we want to start off our meeting with a recognition of a very special student who was awarded the 2026 Congressional Art Competition Challenge. And I'd like to have Pete present the award for us, please.
Absolutely. So tonight we're pleased to recognize Eunice Sparks, a 9th grade student at Center High School, for being selected as the winner of the 2026 Congressional Art Competition for Washington's 3rd Congressional District. This year's theme was Southwest Washington, and Eunice brought that theme to life through a striking painting that features Mount St. Helens and the natural beauty of our region. Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp Perez noted that Eunice's artwork captures both reverence and familiarity with our local landscape, and that'll be displayed in the tunnels of Congress, where visitors and members of Congress across the country will see the reflection of Southwest Washington. Eunice's accomplishment is meaningful honor for Center High School and for our district. Her work reflects talent, perspective, and deep connection to the place. Congratulations, Eunice. This is an impressive achievement. I want to pull it up. Oh, my screen's doing, here we go. So there's actually printed off a copy, and then Margine printed off a copy as well. So we have a couple copies. We're already copying your artwork. But I wanted, just wanted to recognize this is impressive, and we have significant artwork up in this place. It's pretty amazing, and most of it landed here before I was even here. And Don Landis McCullough put all this up, and it would be our honor to have this displayed here as well, if you're okay with that. Okay, why don't you come on up? Go ahead and hold that. It did, and then stand over here and face them. I did reach out to Marie Gluesenkamp Perez's office and just asked, actually, I'd asked several things, but I got the thing I wanted, which was a letter. I wanted to read the letter to you, and then this is yours to take. Dear Center School District and the greater community, thank you to Center School District for taking the time to honor the winner of my 2026 Congressional Art Competition, Eunice Sparks. I'm sorry I can't be there tonight in person. I also asked for that, but that's okay. She's busy. I'm so excited to visit with Eunice when she comes to DC next month. It is an honor to recognize artists like Eunice. The theme for my 2026 Congressional Art Competition was Southwest Washington, and Eunice brought that theme to life. Mount St. Helens is one of the most recognizable places in Southwest Washington. And last week, we recognized the 46th anniversary of Mount St. Helens eruption and reflected on the awesome power of our landscape and the ongoing challenges that accompany that. Eunice's painting sparks reverence and familiarity with our land to every person that sees it in the tunnels of Congress. I'm excited to share this reflection with my community and my colleagues that have never seen our mountains, woods, or Southwest Washington's natural beauty. It'll be a moment of pride for me every time I walk through or walk by her painting, and it'll be a warm reminder of home. We're lucky to have young people like Eunice who value our land and remind us to treasure it. Congratulations, Eunice, on this impressive achievement. Sincerely, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, Member of Congress. So, Eunice, thank you so much. Her mom is here as well, Litha. sorry, Litha, thank you for coming. And then I know Margine also worked with Eunice. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, I spotted Eunice when she was in 9th grade or 8th grade, and when she was helping paint the mural at the junior high school. And I noticed her talent in the classroom, different projects that she had done. And because I'm on the Clark County Arts Commission this year, I told Eunice and her mom to enter the contest. But if you enter the contest, I don't want to see what you did. I don't want to know what you did. Just enter the contest and do the very best you can. There was a Rubik's that was used to scale and actually score by the 7 judges. And all of the judges were in a room all at the same time. And nobody was talking to each other. They were just going by the questions on the rubrics. We all left. We didn't know who won. It was several days later when Eunice was contacted by Marie Gluesenkamp's office with a voicemail, I think it was. And that's how we knew. So it was all completely just the way it was supposed to be. And being in that room with all the other pieces of art, this really stood out. I didn't know it was Eunice's. So
It's definitely beautiful. It'll make a great addition to our hallways. You know, we can have many more to come in the future. No pressure. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pete. And it's fantastic to see art supported in the center community. So thank you. That moves us to part 1.3 of our agenda this evening, which is corrections and changes to the agenda. Does anyone on the board or Pete have any corrections or changes to the agenda?
None at this time.
Okay, seeing none others, that moves us to section 1.4. This meeting is a meeting of the La Center School District Board of Directors. It is being held in the public, but is not a meeting of the public. To speak at the meeting, contact Tammy Licklider and the district office prior to 4 p.m. to be added to the list of speakers. For the public comment section of this meeting, the board chair will call upon those who have signed up to speak. The board will listen to your comments and take the input provided under advisement and may or may not comment at this time. Please state your name and resident district when you begin speaking. Once recognized and called upon by the board chair, you are asked to keep your comments to 2 minutes. After public comments, in an effort to keep an orderly meeting and efficiently accomplish the business of the board, during board deliberations, the board chair reserves the right to call on district staff for additional information or clarification. Outside of the board meetings, public input is always available by email and or phone calls. Contact information for board members is posted on the district website. And this moves us to section 1.5, which is those who are signed up to speak. And first off this evening, we have Miss Gail Wolves.
My name is Gail, and I'm a resident of the center. As a member of the community, I recently participated in the board walkthrough at the high school. I had participated in the previous 2 months walkthroughs in our elementary and middle schools. I appreciated the opportunity to see 4 classrooms in action, as well as a brief tour of the Skilled Trade Center. The hallways were filled with the aroma of fresh baked cinnamon rolls, which added to the atmosphere. And I especially enjoyed seeing Mrs. Thayer's AP Math classroom with her 6 students intently concentrating on their individual project. Frequently at these meetings, Al invites us all to participate in an upcoming community event. So following Al's lead, tonight I would like to invite you all to 2 very important events which Call to Love is involved. First, this Friday, there will be a free screening of a documentary about how the word homosexual didn't appear in the Bible until 1946, and it was determined to be a grievous mistranslation. There will be a Q&A and panel discussion afterwards, which will include one of the researchers featured in the movie. I will give you a flyer about the location and time. The other event is the 6th annual Clark County Pride Rainbow Walk and Festival taking place here in the Center's Holly Park on Sunday, June 7th. The community gathering provides a family-friendly space with entertainment, local vendors, many resources, and activities celebrating the LGBTQ+ community. Please consider coming and joining your students and community in this very fun event. I also have a flyer to give you more information about that, and everyone is welcome. There are more details about each of these events on the call below. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Gail. There we go. Thank you, Gail. And next up to speak this evening is Eunice Ingram.
Good evening, board. My name is Eunice Ingram. She, her, a resident grandma in Battleground. Tomorrow evening, 5:30 to 7:30, as I already mentioned in an email, there will be an important training called Creating Safe Spaces for 2S LGBTQIA+ youth. It's a community training. It's by Hillary McGuinness of Akin. This free event was originally created as a professional development training for schools and workplaces. And for the first time, it's open to the general public. This valuable training is at the Evergreen Public Schools District building. And I also wanted to invite you to the screening of the documentary 1946. I'm inviting you to watch the documentary and think with me that that's how to have a conversation about the LGBTQ issues in general and about how public schools should treat the issues in ways that help everyone thrive. You can also stream the movie, but if you come, we can have a conversation. I just got back from a team trip, screening it in a theater in Korea and having a forum for a formal dialogue. And I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eunice. And next up to speak is Al Phillip.
Al Phillip, Senator Washington, lived here all my life. I was looking on my voter registration the other day and it said July 20th, 1972. And I looked at that and I thought, well, I wasn't 21 yet. Well, I wasn't, but they had just lowered the draft age, or excuse me, the voting age to 18. So I thought about that. I said, well, I had the opportunity to get drafted and I couldn't vote. And I think of other people my age, they got drafted, they went wherever their 2 years and they came back, they couldn't drink, they couldn't vote, and you think about that. I guess it's sort of nostalgic. But anyway, this weekend with American Legion, had their Memorial Day ceremony right up here. And again, we had two outstanding trumpet players, Caleb Warren, Millie Sullivan. And last year I played you, their taps. I'd like to do it this year, but nobody taped it. So I can't do that. But it was awesome, so I have to, well, Amanda was there. She'll, but it was good. It was good. It was great last year. It's great this year. Had lots of people. It didn't rain, so we were very, very fortunate. And it's a good ceremony. And it was, well, It was a good ceremony. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Al, and to all of our public comment speakers this evening. This brings us to section 1.7, which is say something positive. Start at the end down there with Sam. Can you get us kicked off?
Sure thing. As Gail mentioned, we had the high school walkthrough last week, and it was amazing as usual. We switched up the time a little bit, which was pretty good because we got to see things we haven't seen. It was my first time seeing the economic class, for example, which was language class. Very interesting, great topics. It was fun to see the kids engage in talking. And then the other thing was the middle school just recently had their ASB election. So the whole campaigning and all things that go with that. And there was a individual in my own household that was doing that and passing out Tootsie Rolls and heroes posters and stickers and all this good stuff. And now there is a lead like the tide t-shirt at my house because why? Yes. So.
And Amanda.
So I had a couple things. Middle school started their Friday focus, which is such a, well, back up, if you don't know what it is, it allows middle school students to kind of be pulled in for extra work time with teachers in the morning on Fridays. They can ride the elementary bus, so it's not extra work for their parents. And they can get in and have extra study hall or extra teacher time. It's a great use of resources, and also teachers willing to give their time is huge. The other thing, I was also feeling a little nostalgic when I was reading this time of year. You know, the seniors are leaving, they're entering a new phase of their life, and everybody's kind of moving on. And then I was reading the board report, and we have some retirements, as we always do this time of year. And it kind of added to that. I'm not going to, the names are on there, and there have been some from the past couple months. But to see some of the teachers' names on there and the longevity that they've had, not just that I have known in my longevity here, but even longer, and seeing the dedication that they've had to this community and students and the school over the years. And we're so happy for them to get to move on and get to enjoy retirement. But also, you know, we're kind of sad because we're losing out on amazing teachers. And then to flip the coin back over, they're clearing space for new ones to come in and just kind of continue that cycle. So I'm just always grateful for the teachers, the community that we have here, and just kind of that revolving where we're bringing new people in as we're sending other ones out to retirement. So.
And thank you. And Dory.
I guess maybe it is just the time of year, but kind of along the same lines. I was just kind of reflecting on the year as this one coming to a close, and we're getting ready to walk another class of graduates across the stage, and just thinking about, you know, as a board member, all the interactions with all the staff that we have throughout the year with the board reports and the workshops, and then, you know, allowing us into your classrooms. And just the one thing that's the constant for me is just the dedication and enthusiasm that all of the staff have. And I appreciate that not only as a board member, but as a parent with students in this district. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and well done on another year to close.
Okay, thank you. And Eric.
I do wanted to mention the retirees. You know, I mean, there's some names on there that have been here for a long time, a lot that my children have had, and you know, but even just thinking of that, what they've done for the families, not only the families, but for the students, you know, and through their careers. But also just a congratulations to the class of 25, and a congratulations to everybody that has helped prepare them for grade 13.
Sorry.
But yeah, for the as they move on to college and employment and military, and yeah, thank you all.
So I also wanted to call out two things. I swear we don't prepare these ahead of time, which is why we're going to review it 3 times. But I just wanted to say a shout out to those teachers. I'm going to call them out because they were called out in the report. Ms. Lopez, Ms. Volkman, and Ms. Ostad for volunteering to help students answer questions, work on projects, and all the things that kids need help with in this Monday or morning Friday focus at the middle school. It's great to see staff going above and beyond to help kids go where they want to go. So I also wanted to call out again retirees. Shout out to Miss Lindblom and Miss Persick. In the board report, it was 80 years of combined education experience. That's a long, long time of service to kids in the community. And I just want to say thank you for that. So also wanted to shout out for volunteers for Mr. Sloniker's bike unit. I know that 4-ish months ago, Mr. Sloniker had called out and asked for volunteers for the bike unit. He needs volunteers to make it go. Without the volunteers, it won't go, from what I understand. And this year he had plenty of volunteers, and they totaled an impressive 65 hours of service for this project. So thank you very much to the community members who volunteered to help Mr. Sloniker make the bike unit go. So, and then one last thing, actually there's two more things, but I read on social media, I wanted to give a shout out for this, but I read on social media about a father-daughter team that was going to the cemetery and washing veterans' gravestones. And I thought that was really, really cool. And an example, it was a father-daughter team. And, I just want to say thank you to that father for his leadership and service to the community. I thought that was a really cool way to serve the community. And then last but not least, there are a number of youth camps coming up for kids in the summertime. I know of football and wrestling. Ones are top of mind for me. So if there's anybody out there in the community that has kids that want to participate in youth camps and are looking for things for their kids to do, get involved in, one of the three buildings, elementary, middle school, high school building, you can call one of those buildings and ask them for more information about those. And I'll be quiet now. Pete, you or staff have anything?
Absolutely. I just want to call out graduation on June 5th at 7 p.m. in the stadium, hoping for pure sunshine. So should be a great time. And again, we graduate that group on, and the group of kindergartners comes in, and we keep on going. I just want to call out the lip sync, raised over $10,000. We had a $5,000 match from a donor, and they raised over $5,000, so double that. We had over 10. And Mrs. Rideout is just, it was fun to watch her in that element. She was fun and really lit up the stage. And it wasn't about her, it was about the kids and everything, which is absolute, but it sure made it lighthearted and a lot of fun. And again, I just found this one out today. We've been working on how to bring staffing into the counselor's arena. And this is through a grant through the ESD, but we're going to have a post-secondary pathway advisor 2 days a week next year. So they'll provide youth enrichment,
program.
youth employment services, and an hour or 2 hours within those 2 days. And the rest of the time they can work with groups, kids, however, with career placement. And again, it's career placement, it's just a career about grade 13. So that's all I have. Admin, leadership, you have any?
You got a lot going on at the middle school. We just had a drama play last Thursday. This Thursday from 5 to 7, there's a middle school art show. Next Monday is a choir concert at 7 o'clock. And then next Wednesday, the 3rd, I believe we have a band concert at 7:30. I hope that's all we have. I'm sure I'm missing something, but this is the time of year we have a lot going on, and teachers and students put a lot of effort into it.
I just add on what you said about Mr. Sloniker's PE unit. That's a massive undertaking for Mr. Sloniker that he just decided to add when he noticed that we had all those bikes in that shed years ago. So he starts that as soon as we get back from Christmas break. He started planning that, advertising for volunteers. We honored a bunch of students in the assembly that come in every morning to help him set that up. We have teachers that are willing to help him schedule that with those students. And of course, the kids love it. And even the community members that come in, it's fun to watch them in the morning, their eyes light up when they're working with kids and they get to experience that. So kudos to Mr. Sloniker for really going out of his way to make that happen and be successful.
Awesome.
I just wanted to echo Gail's comment. I don't know how the high school does it with a culinary class in baking. It smells amazing. Is there times where it doesn't smell amazing? Never. Cinnamon rolls, Thanksgiving time, and I walked into Sarah's room. Man, I don't know how she does it. It smells like Thanksgiving dinner all week.
And there's a lot of kids running around with really sharp knives in that room, and they all have their fingers, right? And I didn't see any missing fingers the last time I was in there. So kudos to those people for keeping the fingers on. Okay, sounds good. That moves us to part 2, which is the consent agenda. I always like to take the opportunity to call out 2.4, which is the donations, and read that part out loud because that's impactful and special for the district. Again, I continue to see this name pop up on the donations list frequently this year and last year. Mr. Keith Soul, thank you again for the $10,000 donation to the athletic department for an additional trophy case in the high school. Really appreciate that. That's super helpful. And thank you for the continued donations there, Mr. Soul. And then we have Nancy Bush Lang, $5,000 for pickleball equipment improvements for the elementary school play shed. That's a significant donation, and I'm sure that that equipment and improvements will be put to good use. Other than that, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us to part 3, linkage reports. And we have Mr. Rosenkrantz with a May update. Can you bring us up to speed, please?
Absolutely. So together a little. Well, I'll just go through this way. Perfect. All right. So for I just had 4 slides, and some of this is things you have asked for in the past, and some of it's just updates and conversations we've been having. So I just wanted to start with first part of the conversation had to do with max capacity of the district. And so this has to do with how much space we have in each school. So I counted empty spaces, and one of those in each building is the library. In a pinch, we may, in fact, if we're out of space and we need to use the library for a class or two, that would be an option. Not ideal, but when you're crowded, there's very few ideal options, but there are things we can do to make it work. One of which is traveling teachers. Not an ideal situation whatsoever. But mostly in secondary, you have a teacher on a cart and they go from room to room and they follow teacher preps. And so as you can see from the data, we have a traveling teacher in the middle school and the high school. We have had specialists on carts before. That would be how it would work more in the elementary if we run out of space. The space that we have, by my calculation, including that is 11 classrooms district-wide we have available. That does include the 2 new classrooms for the portable going in out there. And then also taking a look at growth and the potential of already pricing out used portables for the future. So just putting information in your hands for as we can look down the road and see where we're headed. Potentially.
Used portables didn't go anywhere because there weren't any available, and especially none that were useful for the foreseeable future. They were really used up.
The ones,
is that right?
The ones I was, one district I was trying to pull from said they wouldn't make the trip. They're supposed to be temporary classrooms that seem to hang around forever. And so when the district finally gets rid of them, a lot of, like in Hawkinson, one of the ones was we turned it over to the fire department to burn down. But that is a lack of repair and a lot of times what happens is moisture gets in there and you have a mold problem and that's when it's done. But our maintenance crew does a good job of maintaining the portables, and we have some pretty old portables that still, put lipstick on the proverbial pig, so to speak. And that's information just so tuck away, and we'll keep taking a look as we advance through the year into next year and see how it goes.
Have you been able to pull in, I know that there's some third-party companies, space utilization experts. Have you been able to leverage anybody like that to do a survey of what we've got? And they offer ways to extend what we have without spending more taxpayer money than we absolutely have to.
That's for a bond, you'll run a study and survey, and they'll come in and take a look at your space and see how many unhoused students you have. And that's how you apply for the state match because of unhoused students. So I would contend we're pretty efficient. I'm not too keen on spending more money than someone to tell us how to be more efficient with the space. I'm not sure what the return on investment would be, but I've never priced that out, so I can take a look if you like.
It seems like they're the expert on space utilization. They might offer some insights with working with a lot of districts that may be helpful to you, right? Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Next. There we go. All right. So one of the conversations that's been rolling around is Cispus. And I put this together there's a lot of conversation from the last board workshop and out in the community from what I understand. And so it's just taking a look. One of the core objectives is to build belonging, connection, and transitional support for incoming sixth graders. And then on the left, they have that traditional model where they go overnight, and there's significant cost at $63 a night per student. And then we pull in high school students to lead that. And I know in talking with, or at least in the past, when high school students would go, they would be gone for a week. That'd be quite a bit trying to get them back up to speed if they did the work. And then there's some, I would contend if we were to go back to an overnight model, we would need significant supervision upgrade, especially over the night, over the evenings. So then the other piece is reimagining what a local model and taking a look, and I put those in on the right with how can we build if it's truly about building belonging, mirroring some of the things we do with freshman success with sixth grade success. And so, and if we're able to get it up and running again and maybe eventually move to an overnight model or something to that effect. But I know this is on the agenda later, but I just wanted to give a preview. The other thought is keeping some of the leadership components within the middle school and train up seventh graders for their eighth grade year, so that the eighth graders can be the leadership for the sixth grade and it stays within the middle school. And so then you're creating this internal leadership pipeline, so to speak. So just some initial thoughts before we head into the conversation later in the agenda. Expanding civic engagement. So we started collecting. We have 3 applicants so far for a student city council. Again, they wouldn't have a say at the city council that regularly meets, but they would be an advisory role. The intent is you bring a group of kids together, a seventh grader, eighth grader, and then 5 or 6 high school students with broad representation, and they come in and they work on a project and then make recommendations to the city council. What I have here are some definite benefits from that, and getting them into the city and taking a look at how the city runs. And again, these are going to be our future civic leaders as well. And so it's an opportunity to get them out of the city, taking a look.
Is that done during school, after school?
After school. Meets the 4th Monday of each month. It's about a 90-minute meeting. So I'm curious to see how it gets off the ground. I know this is not new, but it would be new to the center. It'd be exciting to get kids into the city council and see how it works. And then finally, this piece has to do with the reserve savings account and trying to find a way to continue that growth pattern, and also because we do need to plan and within the savings account, plan for things that are upcoming. And so with a 0.6% growth, it would put us at a minimum of 669,500 to build that savings account. The list on the right, those are rough estimates for about 5 different items that are pretty big ticket items. The lead remediation that will happen this summer is about 10 grand. What I found is what we've discovered is there is a grant that will cover that in full. So that will take care of that. The other one is our chiller is done. We have to figure out a way to replace our chiller at the high school. And so we'll be working on that and to take a look, because we don't have, that's the serves the old wing. What does the chiller serve, Matt?
The current one that's broken is the old wing, so the old building that wasn't remodeled.
Everything but this. That's it. This one works.
We tried to do a wiring adjustment, doesn't work, it's done, and it's old enough, there's no parts. So we are taking a look at how we can replace that, anywhere from 300 to 800,000. So, and that's all I have. I just wanted to put some, this gives me an opportunity. My hope is to do this each month and just have an opportunity to share different things that are going on and revisit items that we talked about or discussed earlier. Questions?
I have one question, just on the junior council. You mentioned that they would do a project. Can you give me an example of what it would?
Maybe they want to improve the skate park, provide options. They want to do, they want to provide more clean energy options, ideas for the city hall. I mean, there's things they want to impact in their community, and gives them a voice and puts them working towards a project. Is volunteer hours and the works. It's pretty. It's also something they will generate as they meet and work together.
Other questions, comments on the board?
All right.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
That brings us to part 4.0, monitoring report EL4, business and finance. Can you bring us up to speed on that, Pete, please?
Absolutely. So just to remind, so this is monitoring report for business and finance. The district's funding primarily comes from taxpayers, state, federal, and local sources. Vast majority, very limited supplements come from local or donations. And I mean, Keith sold $20,000 over this year alone. 2 $5,000 chunks and then a 10,000. Appreciate the donations, both large and small, because we have folks that donate a few $100s as well, and it's all funding we didn't have before, and it's a great opportunity for folks to give back to the school. But so I just want to call out a frugal fall makes a solid spring, and we did a lot of work this fall again to maintain a frugal stance. It's not always a popular stance, but again, trying to maintain solvency, and that restricted savings account is essential. That we're trying to work to save money in a way that we can pay cash for these projects and work our way through. And again, that does bring up, like, a chiller goes, and that's an expensive item. So how do we manage that through multiple revenue streams, whether it's pulling from the RSA or financing that as an option? And because I really don't, I would prefer not to pull the $649,000 out right away, and then we're back to zero on our savings.
Is that the current number, 649?
If you, based on your direction, whether I pull 0.4, 0.5, it depends on what I pull based on what, but it would be from additional fund, it'd be from the less of revenues minus expenditures, what's left, and that's where I can pull from. So, but again, back to EL4, again, all in compliance. I do believe we make good use of taxpayer dollars and are very fiscally responsible and transparent. Questions?
Questions, comments from the board? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept monitoring report EL4 as presented?
Make a motion, to accept the monitoring report EL4 as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second that.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us to report 5.1, which is written policy review. We'll kick it off with second reading of policy 2190 and procedure 2190P, high cap programs. Pete, can you bring us up to speed on that?
So from the last meeting, which thank you for carrying the load. I was not able to be here. But the first reading appeared to be no questions. And I didn't know there's no changes based off the first reading. I think we're pretty good to go.
I just want to say quickly that this is the reason that this is coming up is because it's revised per SB 5072, which says that not all students are required to be screened each year. Universal screening must occur once in or before second grade, and again in or before sixth grade. So this we're reviewing this and updating it to reflect changing law from Olympia. Questions, comments? I just want to add, this in no way eliminates high cap programs.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. I think if anything, we're adding high cap things all the time. I see, especially things in high school, advanced placement courses.
So again, trying to add extensions. And Michelle, do you want to add anything to that, or?
I think that's a good point. We're doing cohort planning this summer for all grades that want to do that. We've done a lot at the elementary school with professional development and resources, and continue to push into middle school. They've done a lot of the high school with the addition of AP classes, and those all feed into makeup.
So just a quick note about, she said cohort planning. I just wanted to draw a little bit of attention to that. So could you give us just a quick overview of what that looks like? I think it's teachers getting together, discussing student needs and how to meet those needs and help those kids move forward. Is that?
Specific to high cap, cohort planning looks like an opportunity to come together and look at your scope and sequence, and then that layer on to what can we do to add extensions, just like you would interventions. So that's what cohort planning looks like. They're it's like the best possible version of collaboration. A bunch of minds sitting together saying, how can we make this a little bit better?
Awesome. Sorry.
No, not at all. I appreciate the conversation around this. I go back to something Miranda Gray said in our staff linkage with the elementary. One of the things she's excited about with, to teach reading is not only can she help students to struggle with reading, she can help students to excel at reading to help them excel further. And that's something important. We put a lot of time and effort into kids that struggle because we don't want them to struggle. We want to elevate all kids. That also means kids that are excelling, we want to elevate them as well. And I think gravitate towards some of the AP offerings and some of those components at the high school, but I think that's happening across the board in all three buildings.
And I know we say AP, but college and the high school,
No credit, college and high school, absolutely. There's
All
options for kids.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you say on the regular, all kids all the time. So that certainly goes with that, right? So, okay. So anybody have any other comments from the board? Questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept the second reading of policy 2190 and procedure 2190P?
make a motion to accept the second reading of policy 2190 and procedure 2190P.
And can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us to 5.2, the second reading of policy 3230 and procedure 3203P, P, which is searches of students and student privacy. Can you bring us up to speed on that, Pete, please?
Yes, again, this is the second reading, so there's revisions to clarify and recognize language in policy versus procedure and moves information about students' privacy rights to the end of the policy. Really calls out reasonable suspicion. I talk with parents, actually every single district I've been in, I've talked with parents about this, is when a student is in trouble, a lot of times we're equated with the police. Especially if it's something serious like drugs or alcohol or something, something where we do call the police. And we operate in tandem with police, but the police level or threshold is just cause. Just cause is a legal definition and it's a fairly high bar. For schools, we have reasonable suspicion, much lower bar, be able to conduct a search. And not taken lightly, but again, we're charged with keeping schools safe and drug-free. And if what that distinction allows us to operate on is we have a reasonable suspicion that there are drugs in that backpack, therefore we can look through that backpack. And then also highlight, I mean, some of these aren't, I mean, that's not a new component, but I simply call that out because again, schools, we operate in parallel track with police, we'll cooperate with police, absolutely. But at the same time, we have a little bit more leeway when it comes to searches and working with students to make sure we have a safe and civil campus.
Questions or comment from the board? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept the second reading of policy 3230 and procedure 3203?
To accept the second reading of policy 3230 and procedure 3230P.
And can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us on to 5.3, first reading of policy 5161 and procedure 5161P, civility in the workplace. Can you bring us up to speed on that, Pete, please?
So this is WASDA policy created based on requests from model policy that defines and promotes civility in the workplace. I know you reviewed this the last meeting and tabled it until this meeting. So this is our first reading, even though it's first, second, third, fourth, we'll take our time to do it right. I sent out an email, received one reply, and then I sent out a survey, and I think I got 8 or 9 replies in the survey. I'm very thankful. And what's not on the agenda, what I was able to finally get to this afternoon was incorporating that in. And so I had sent that on with some of the green highlighted areas within regarding some of the language around that this does not, this is around like somewhere CBAs and the like, the 4 days and the timely notification, some of those things that are within that. So I was trying to incorporate some of that information because I very much appreciate the feedback and want to be able to use that when I get it. So questions?
I'm looking for the part here. It says that a third party observing uncivil behavior has an obligation to insert themselves into the uncivil behavior. And if that doesn't happen, then they have an obligation to report. Inserting themselves into the uncivil behavior seems a bar too high to me.
Do you have where you found that?
No, I'm looking for it. I had it marked, but I closed that window and picked it up again and
It's in the procedure.
marked it away. Yes.
It's in the bulleted items.
Yeah, she's the fourth one.
Yeah, that's right. Persons who observe or experience uncivil behavior have an obligation to intervene, share their reflection with the offender about the impact of that behavior, or report the civil behavior to a supervisor. I'm not sure about inserting themselves into, the wording seems too strong. An obligation to intervene. I'm not too sure about that.
This gets at some of the bystanders, they're watching it happening and not my monkey, not my shirt, but someone to go do something else.
Reporting would be okay. Obligation to insert, that seems a bit much.
They have a choice. The way it's worded, they would give them a choice. So there's, I mean,
I can see what Craig's getting at with because the text says have an obligation to intervene. Which I can see why how that would be perceived as making it truly a responsibility to act. Maybe we pull back and we say are encouraged to intervene,
Or when appropriate, or
well, it's not necessarily appropriate because it truly would be on a comfort level. I don't think that we're trying to
I can see
dictate that you need to get involved if you're not comfortable.
obligation, right?
okay.
Maybe you
can see that.
maybe you can wordsmith that or review it with Connie and see what her feedback is. Maybe.
What's that? Is that written in first aid scenario?
That is you intervene to your highest level of training. Well, first aid, we have our nurse here, so it's good Samaritan laws.
Yeah, legally, I don't believe you're responsible. You're required to.
The core function of this is to encourage folks to be civil to each other, period.
Okay.
So if we create more, I can understand what you're saying, and that Amanda and Craig, I don't disagree, totally. But if we require as opposed to encourage, you can definitely see encourage.
I do appreciate you getting feedback on this from staff. Obviously, this is largely going to impact staff as well as us. So I appreciate that we're getting feedback.
It's good feedback too.
I feel like we've been doing that a lot more recently, and we've been getting good feedback, and we've been rolling it in as well. So I think it's helpful when we get feedback for sure. The other question that I had is I am on the policy piece. Second yellow paragraph, the words, the paragraph starts with the board of directors. The second sentence, the district expects this value to be, it's actually the third sentence. When differences exist, stakeholders will use clear, concise, and courteous communication with the goal of arriving at a solution. I appreciate the intent. Will use, right? We're requesting that. We're expecting that, right? But if you're going to say will use, I feel like you need, you're commanding someone to do that, right? And if they don't do that, they choose not to do that, then you explain, we'll have to talk about it, right? Or you can say shall or should use, right? And I'm not sure about the word will. It seems, I don't know, comments, questions?
I would think that's a reasonable expectation. Because later on, it's summing up uncivil conduct on district property or district sponsored activities by director, staff, parents, students, volunteers, contractors, prohibitors is prohibited. So I think that it is important that you are going to use mainly courteous communication with the goal of arriving at a solution.
Agreed. Okay.
Whether it will or shall,
Either way.
I think it's
Okay.
saying the same thing.
Cool. The other question I had was, I know that unfortunately, Matt Cook and others have had to deal with this in the past with uncivil behavior from parents, at events, right? Is this the only place that that's addressed, or when we've addressed it in the past, what policy have we used in the past to support those efforts to deal with parents?
I'm sorry.
So I'll start over. In the policy, the last sentence of the second paragraph here, it says, when differences exist, stakeholders will use clear, concise, and courteous communication with the goal of arriving at a solution. Uncivil conduct on district property or at district sponsored activities by school directors, staff, or parents, right? Parents is the part that I'm questioning, right? Because we haven't had this policy in the past, and I know that in the past, you've had to deal with uncivil parents at events, right? What was the policy backup that you used for dealing with uncivil behavior? Is there, I'm wondering, there's nothing.
There was nothing until just 2 years ago, our league did create a set of standard SOPs for fan behavior. But prior to that, it was just, hey, they're being kind of a jerk. Can you please stop? And I sit next to them and just say, that's enough, or you're gonna have to leave.
Right. In your backup with that was from WIA standard operating procedures.
WIA didn't have it.
Okay.
Delete.
Oh, the lead.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to duplicate words here. Like this is going to apply to parents as well. Has there really never been anything that govern uncivil behavior from parents on district property or district sponsored?
No, there are laws in place about this, but it I would have to find those. They're probably quoted at the base you have. Maybe not maybe in the procedure. There are specific laws in the books about conduct on school grounds and expectations. It's been a while since I needed those. So I can take a look though.
Okay.
So it's not completely without backup to ensure that I correct some of the behavior. The challenge is when trying to do it the right way with parents and community members.
Yeah.
But again, times they need a little wake up to say, hey, enough.
Okay. Other comments, questions from the board?
No, I don't think this policy is not intended for that though, for the community relations. This policy is intended for more staff relations, personnel relations.
Agreed.
Well, it does call out parents.
Sorry, what was that? Read the whole policy? Is that what I heard from the back? That's an interesting comment.
I'm not trying to be smart. In the policy, it does clearly outline community members, parents, and stakeholders. If that's just staff, then people would probably be of value to pretty much direct this policy into the direct intent for this towards. But it does say that, I believe, in the beginning,
It does say that in the policy it has parents, volunteers, and contractors.
Yeah, I think my question is, should we be directing this at parents is my question. Are there other policies that guide that?
There should be other policies in it would be in the community relations section or a different section of that policy and procedure manual. Picking that up.
That, where I would see application of that, I'm in a meeting and the parent has gotten elevated, somewhat out of control. At that point, administrators should shut the meeting down and reconvene when tempers are cooler. Not necessarily using those exact words, but just telling someone to calm down this division of work. But at the same time, nothing happens when people's emotions or lids flipped in a way that they can't think.
Agreed.
And so we put things in place, but the idea of banning a parent from campus is not something I think in my 32 years I've done twice.
Yeah.
And it's not something to take lightly. Yeah. But again, that comes into procedure as far as how we hold accountable and steps in which we go through to address the uncivil conduct. So visitors, civility in the workplace is the title of it, but it does call out parents.
Yeah.
So.
But maybe worth seeing if we have community relations that govern interactions with parents. Although I do think that volunteers should still be looped in here. Because if they're volunteering on campus, then they're interacting in the workplace.
Yeah.
Same contract.
Agreed.
We look at that. Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to accept the first reading of policy 5161, procedure 5161? Or we could table it, or ideas?
I'll motion to accept the first reading of policy 5161, procedure 5161.
And can I get a second?
I'll second.
With the corrections.
With the corrections and with an understanding that we dig a little deeper into where else we may be covering some of this information.
Agreed.
Or not, yeah.
Cool. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us to 5.4, second reading of procedure 3530P, fundraising activities involving students. Can you bring us up to speed on that, Pete, please?
Yes, so this is a second reading, okay. There were questions out of the last meeting and we met and discussed. And so what you'll see in the blue are changes that are recommended from our meeting. I think we had Craig, Gary, and Matt and myself in that meeting. Is revised, the whole purpose of this is to revise and add language restricting the types of sponsorship opportunities based on permissible viewpoint neutral subject matter restrictions. Includes a list of types of sponsorships in which the district will not engage in regardless of the stance or viewpoint. So again, this just a reminder, these are fundraising activities involving students. So this is typically our ASB work. This is not booster work. Booster fundraisers aren't typically done on campus. They're done off campus. They can still involve students off campus, but not connected to the school. Did I say that right, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just can't operate solely by students off campus.
Okay. And I think, Craig, I heard you say the complexity of fundraising for ASB
It's
is
a rat's
mind-boggling.
It's a rat's nest. It seems complicated. And there's a lot there. A lot.
Just a lot of documentation and some rules and regulations.
Yeah.
So
I'm thankful that we have people like Matt, and others who have, and Kate who help us stay in the right lane and on the good side of it all. So it seems complicated.
a lot of rules, but also I think those are good because you want to keep from taking advantage of kids. That's the whole point.
Agreed.
So the what's on the table is the yellow and the blue within the document.
So on page number 2, it says it talks about sponsorship opportunities for the district will be subject to certain restrictions and keeping the standards of good taste, and will model and promote positive values for students. No sponsorship will be allowed which is in poor taste, which fails to promote positive values for students, or otherwise may be prohibited by law, including but not limited to materials and which fall within the following categories. Promotes the use of drug, alcohol, tobacco, weapons, or firearms. What does promote mean in this context as it applies to fundraisers?
Well, if they have a picture of Jack Daniels on a sign, I am not gonna allow the high school group to, use that as advertisement. If they have a marijuana leaf, because they're doing a reggae dance, I'm probably not going to allow that. The simple fact that we are an alcohol, tobacco, and firearm free zone. That's what I mean by promote. But that's what I mean for good ASB, by
So this is
I apologize.
this is so we say above, or which otherwise may be prohibited by law. So the legal use of firearms is acceptable. We all agree.
The legal use of firearms, excuse me. I understand that.
Are you saying that the legal use of, or the use of firearms is legal outside of school and outside of school property?
Yes.
So it's a legal function that can take place.
That is correct.
The concern then is, what is bringing that into here? Is that your question?
Agree.
So basically that you cannot promote or advertise alongside with a firearm or tobacco or alcohol or drugs to promote school activities.
But in a district where there's a trap club, which I hope we get here in this district at some point, right? Should we excise the visual representation of firearms within fundraising, T-shirts, whatever it is for the trap club?
It's not just the visual, they should hype it, it's also the name that's been outlawed. Personally, we can't put exit 16 brewing on a ball field, right? Even though
Why?
I'm not a sponsor that, because it says brewing. Because it implies alcohol. So we would sponsor that. Albeit we do promote gambling. It's gambling.
Yeah, gambling's not. I don't see it.
Why?
So if
No intention of fighting it. It's and it again, it's interesting because I like a kid walking down the hall with a pot leaf on their shirt. I'm going, hey, you change your shirt.
Because
it's promoting
marijuana is not legally used by kids of that age, right? Agreed.
And even if we were to have a track club, which I think would be amazing, those guns would not be allowed on campus.
We're not talking about allowing guns on campus. This policy doesn't address that at all.
Maybe the same thing with sporting systems wanting to be a sponsor, put their sign up. Really has a gun as part of the design, they would not be allowed to be sponsored.
Why?
I assume because of the fire, but yet they want to donate $5,000 into their sign. You say on that?
Because firearms are bad or what?
That's the question. Right? So what's the good?
And at what basis to use for determining what's good and bad?
I think we can't ignore the firearm thing, to be honest. I mean, I think all the children should be getting education on firearms and their safety and whatnot, because the lack of education is what makes them mad.
Certainly makes things more dangerous, right?
So the other piece is though the unique nature of firearms and weapons is associated with schools. I think we can't ignore that either.
What would the unique
Well, one is the
nature?
only ones that can bring weapons on campus or firearms on campus are police officers.
Again, we're not talking about bringing weapons on campus. That's
Agreed,
not a part
but
of this conversation.
It gets confusing with students, when we promote, if we were allowed to promote firearms, but I'm not able to bring them on campus, I think it's a slippery slope to go that direction.
I think there's a rule that says that you can't bring firearms on campus, right? Should take care of it.
There's a Supreme Court case that says you can't bring firearms.
No, but bringing firearms on campus is one thing, but we're also talking about fundraisers that promote.
So could you just add promotes the illegal use of drugs, alcohol, tobacco, weapons, or firearms? Although firearms is redundant if you have weapons in that. But
I would say illegal use of firearms. Because drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and weapons are considered legal. Their age anyway.
at their age, but not necessarily for seniors.
Just we're gonna say that we're not gonna take any big pharma advertisements here. Is that what we're saying?
I'm not touching that one.
I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that because I think there's a fundamental layer below this at which you make a decision about these things, and I'm not sure we've uncovered what that is yet.
I'm not sure that having it on this list is giving a negative connotation to them, because directly above it are political activities and influencing legislative decisions, which at their core are likely good, right? They're just not appropriate for school.
And I was also wondering about number 9, promotes religion or religious matters. So we have a fundraiser who wants to bring a sign. Matt and I have talked about this situation where you have someone vending at the out in front of the concession stand at a football game, and it's the local church, and they're selling raffle tickets as a fundraiser in conjunction with kids or ASB or whatever's going on. And they have some religiosity included with their table or display or fundraising. Are we saying no to that as well?
I think we're crossing a line into whether we are sponsoring it or whether it appears that we are condoning or sponsoring it by having it on campus. It'd be the same in my mind, the same as having a political candidate here, that we are having a booth for one but not the other. Then we are implicitly saying, hey, we support this side, this religion, this view, what have you.
But we were going to have a political candidate on campus tonight, but she wasn't able to join us.
Not a candidate. We were having a representative. And as
She's
soon
not-
as she
she's-
becomes
she's
a
a-
representative, she is no longer a political party. She represents everyone in her district.
She's a candidate for sure right now.
Not at this point, not.
Nope.
Oh,
She is in office.
She's duly elected in office.
I thought that they had.
She
signed
represents
up
all
for-
of us, whether we chose her or not. It's her responsibility.
So there's a key word of this, number 9, which is establish. Because that piece is it's not a separation of church and state is not a law. It's actually, we're not establishing establishment.
Yeah.
It's a non-establishment clause. So again, we're dealing with students fundraising.
I would be comfortable adding illegal use to number 8. And I feel like that would satisfy any inkling that weapons are inherently bad.
May I ask the question, if that's okay, as the high school ASB advisor? Is that okay?
Sure.
If we add illegal firearms to that, so what you're saying, if I'm correct, is this then allowing students to go ahead and put like machine guns or something or whatever on advertisement? You're fine with that? Or I guess a legal firearm would be like a Glock or a, I don't know that it is done.
Machine guns are also legal. There's a process.
Trying to be realistic as a high school ASB advisor, because this, I just need to know what we can use for advertisement or not. So I'm just trying to wonder is if I have students who are putting on flyers now and posters burying guns, is that okay? I'm in an environment where school shooting has been like a big buzz for about 20 or 30 years now, so this one's, as long as I've been the advisor, which is forever, has always been a no-no. And so I would like to know what you guys would determine as an illegal or versus legal, like how we're gonna differentiate between an automatic and a semi-automatic machine gun by a drawing.
So I want to take this a little step further, keeping that in mind. And one is students' determination of what's a legal use of firearms and illegal use of firearms could be up for judgment. I would propose that I take this to legal and ask them their interpretation of it. As opposed to trying to figure out the legal parameters in this discussion, I'd rather have a legal option to take a look before we do any changes to it. Just watch shooting after shooting after shooting, and I get really nervous when we start messing with language around firearms and weapons. I don't see it as I'd rather have a legal opinion as opposed to my legal novice.
Yeah, if you feel the students are confused about firearms, maybe a little bit of training would be appropriate. That's what we do here, is we educate, right?
With reading, writing, math, science, I'm not going to do
And PE
firearms classes.
and social emotional.
We already
There's a
do
lot.
bow and arrow classes and PE and some of those, so I know. Just very nervous about that.
They're illegal on campus, so.
Correct. You will
Not
have a
not completely illegal. There is an RCW that allows guns in cars for concealed carry permit holders, right?
Which would be
when
over
they-
21. If it's a handgun, it's over 21.
Yeah, when they pick up students. So
That's an
But-
adult with not kids.
totally agree. Absolutely.
And there's very specific laws around that. You just,
Cool. So you're gonna take a look and get a legal opinion.
yes.
It's awesome. Any other questions or things we want people to look into before next time?
I think just keeping in mind overall, like what would the ultimate benefit of this when we're consulting legal about making a change or something that's been, kind of overall the accepted way for I think most school districts for years. Like, what is the benefit?
Oh,
If it ends up being that legal says, yeah, okay, what are we gaining and looking into that?
what are we gaining by looking into it, getting the legal opinion?
Well, and what are we gaining by getting the answer that you want, basically? What is that gonna help us with our fundraising?
I think Sam brought up that Sportsman wants to come and sponsor and bring money to the district, and we won't let them sponsor because their logo isn't allowed. That would be the benefit or the downside.
Again, caution, when we start pushing into gray areas of interpretation, some of this, it will create more challenges for my administrators as they try to enforce. So there's an enforcement side of it as well. So I will get a legal opinion. As your superintendent, I would advise not changing that language, but I will get a legal opinion.
And that'll be on not only the firearms, but also whether or not the drugs, alcohol, tobacco be legal or illegal use of, and whether that.
Yes, it'll be on that number 8.
And was that a valid question about, if the local church comes in and wants to do a table at the stadium during the football game, and they have their church logo there? a symbol of a cross, or whatever it may be. Does that promote religion when they do that as a
But that doesn't
fundraiser?
fall under this policy though. This is ASB, church is an ASB.
Students.
Students and
So-
parents.
We do run into ASB because they're a football function.
Mhm.
So then
They have to request permission.
there's a permission request at an ASB function for them to do that fundraiser. So
They just have their logo on, or are they handing out Bibles and crosses or Stars of David? I mean, there's a whole other gamut that's gonna go to that. If their logo is simply, it has maybe perhaps Christian star on it, let's just go with the dominant religion. Then I would imagine it's probably not helping on this, but I would imagine it's probably not gonna be denied. We have an FCA club right now where their big portion of their logo is a cross. And we've never once told them they couldn't use that or take any of their advertisement.
Or if they're raffling Bibles.
well, the Gideons, the Bibles, the Gideons will come and try to hand out Bibles, so they're always off campus. They're at the exits. So
For a public institute, we have to follow.
Good discussion. Comments or questions? What do you want to do? Go for a third reading? Okay. Can I get a motion to table the second reading of procedure 3530P? Sorry, get a motion. Is that what I said? Let's get a motion to table the second reading of procedure 3530P.
I'll make a motion to table the second reading of 3530P.
Awesome. Can I get a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That moves us to 5.5, review of GP9 Code of Conduct and GP10 covenants. Can you bring us up to speed on that, Pete, please?
absolutely, these have been in place since 2006. They're part of our policy governance. GP9 is board members code of conduct, and GP10 are the covenants members will. And there's a list of 17 items. After reading through, do you have any questions or recommended changes to this?
I don't. Anybody else? Amanda? I don't think we have any questions or changes. Awesome. That's easy. Cool. That moves us to part 6.0, and our favorite update of the meeting would be Gary's monthly budget update.
Your favorite, Craig.
My favorite.
I don't think everybody else would agree with that. So as you guys know, we're finalizing the budget, gave you guys the F-195 about 2 weeks ago. So people want to get to the next slide. Just want to go over the schedule with you guys. As you guys know, we're transitioning to cumulative in July. Last year, we wanted to pass the budget in June. I wasn't ready, so we did bump it to July. It is imperative that we do finish this, and it is approved at the end of June. So if you look at the May timing right there, on the bottom, that board input needed by 6/4. If you guys can give me any input that you have by 6/4, I can then, correct and make any adjustments, get everything to Tammy, because she has to have everything out made public. I believe it's the 9th. I put the 9th there, Tammy. Hopefully that's correct. For the 2 weeks prior to the 6/23 board policy meeting. So again, if you just have questions, I just want you guys to see the timeline. I suppose if for some reason we didn't, we would go dark and cumulative the last week of July, but they want us to pretty much not put anything in skyward starting in July. So it would be best if we could finish this by the end of June. So just wanted to remind you guys of that time. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. So I want to go over all of the funds, capital projects. This is an important one because something that Pete already brought up earlier tonight. We're becoming a very full school in terms of buildings and our kids. So we are adding portables. So as you can see right there, the 26, 27, we are going to expend some more than our revenues bring in this next year. If you look at the far left, the fund summary, Gonna bring in around $755,000. Expenditures 1.37. But we already have a pretty healthy fund balance from all of our impact fees. So after all that's said and done, and if we actually do spend the 1.37, we should have end up at the end of next year with an ending fund balance in this capital fund of around $700,000. So the going rate right now for the brand new portable, I think, is in the $300,000 range. Who knows what's going to happen with that price? But this is with us. This is not adding the one for this year. I'm doing a budget adjustment for the same meeting coming up because I didn't have it on that one. But you guys get the idea. We're spending a lot of money trying to put our kids in places where they can learn the best. Debt service, this is just our bond. So this is the monies we collect. It's pretty much the exact values we get right there. We pay this in June, so we just paid everything up, and we also pay it in December. So this is just the money that we get. It's I get it from the values or what are supported from our community, and then Piper Sandler actually gives me these values to make sure we have enough money in our account, and we're doing fine. Our fund balance right now is around $500,000 after we've already paid our bond fees. ASB, again, this is just the kids' money. So there's all the values and the dollars that Kate and the kids gave me. Ending fund balance is going to be right around $200,000 if the values come in for the revenue sources that they put forward already. So that's it for those three funds. Then the general fund, which is what we've been talking about, as you guys know, spent a lot of time with this. Probably going to bring in revenues, and this is based on our 1755. Am I not speaking of this correctly? Kind of buzzing. Sorry.
You gotta get closer.
I gotta get closer. How about this? This better? All right. I can move around now. So the revenues right around 34 million. That's at 1755 in terms of what we've budgeted. Our average right now is right around 1758 this year. We always dip in May and June. I think we came in at 1750 for May's count. And we'll probably right around that again, but our average will be higher than 55. So we're right in the sweet spot in terms of balancing, in terms of our FT, excuse me. Total expenditures right around almost 34 million. Our net savings is going to be right around $199,000 or $200,000. So that will get us to our ending fund balance of right around 2.5 million at the end of next year. So to give you guys a 3-year trend right here. So just for the total revenues, you can see 24-25, the revenues of a little over 30 million, revenues in 25-26. Remember 30.7, that's actual revenues. We're still in the 25-26 school year, so this is budgeted amount. So we'll have a better update in October after we close, but what we budgeted was 32.3, and this next year we're budgeting revenues at 34.15. You guys see right there, we went up about 5% each year in terms of our revenues. A lot of that is due to our FTE climbing. And honestly, because this year, we actually budgeted last year, our FTE was lower than we had hoped. But with the addition of our CTE, it's really been very beneficial in terms of our revenues. We've done a nice job in that department.
One question.
Yeah.
One question right there. In your 26-27 FTE, it's at 1850.
Yeah, so it's really 1755. I put in head count on this one. Sorry.
Oh.
That includes 1815, includes all of our Running Start students and all of our Open Door students. So it's really, I should change that to 1755.
Because the other two numbers are actually reflecting.
Those are the same. 1795 is still, and 2 years ago we were at 1745, and then last year we were 1741. So
you just had count.
This one, yeah, I labeled it wrong. Revenues, local taxes, that's our levy dollars. As you can see right there, gone up 60% from last year for 24-25 and then 25-26. Remember, we put 3.85. We're actually scheduled to get more than that, but because I think I put it at 98.3%, give or take. So for the 3.8, And then the state general purpose, obviously, that's where we get most of our funds, the 20.9 million, that's based on the 1755 that we have budgeted in terms of our FTE. Expenditures, and you guys know this, our biggest expenditures is our people, our people. But regular instruction, 16.8 million. You can see how that's gone up over the last few years, 15.5. And this is just for, like I said, regular instruction, special ed continues to decline. We dipped a little bit last year, but we're going to go up this year. And then our voc ed has gone up. But again, voc ed is something that we like going up because our revenues are actually higher in that regard as well. So that's actually a really good thing that you expense more in voc ed, you actually make more. So overall, though, we went from 30.8 million to we're expensing 32.04 and then 33.9 next year. Again, growing from 3.9% to 6% for this next year. And this just gives you guys an example of the teaching activities, teaching support, all those. So basically where all of our dollars are being spent, $19 million goes to teachers, teaching support, more of our classified staff, 2.8 million, and other supportive activities, which could be all kinds of, all of our MSOCs and all that stuff. So kind of gives you guys just an idea of how we break everything down, all of our expenses. But our biggest expense is the teacher, the $19 million. Salaries right there, 14.4 million and 13.6 and 12.9. You work backwards, classified salaries. And the one thing that we, that nobody really talks about, and we talked about it a lot this year in terms of funding, but we get funding on our benefits exactly like we do for our teachers. The state says we should have 100 teachers. We get paid benefits for 100 teachers. As you guys know, we have 100, I think we're gonna have about 117, 118 teachers next year. So we still lose funding. And with benefits, we have to pay SED, whether our teachers take it or not. So it's not an option. If Pete opts out, we still pay Pete's SED to the state. They keep it.
Just to be clear, that's not just teachers, that's everybody,
Yeah, everybody.
including subs when they work an extra. There we go. Including subs when they work over a certain amount, we have to pay their SED benefits as well. It used to be if you work part-time, you would be a portion of your benefits. You work over, I think it's 640 hours or something to that effect, you get full benefits. That's part of the state.
This for maintenance personnel as well?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Every person.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, enrollment. So here you go. This is a better example for our FT. This one is correct. 45, 41, and then 55 is what we're budgeting. And this is nice too. It kind of shows our certificated employees, and this obviously includes all of our counselors and all that as well. But 123, 125, and then we're going to be right around 128 this next year. Classified, it shows a little bit of a decline, but we'll actually be about 63 or 64 classified. So all said and done. But you guys get an idea right there how we've grown each and every year. With our FTE, obviously we dropped a little bit from 24, 25, 25, 26, but we're growing every year. And this is what Pete talked about a little bit earlier, and this was a restricted savings account. Started off with a $500,000. Pete and I sat down and did a ton of research on what's a good way to actually build this and be consistent. And so we looked at other districts in the area and actually across the nation are trying to do this. And they were all within the 0.5 of total expenditures. And if they were aggressive, they were 0.6 of their total expenditures to grow the RSA. And that is only if you obviously don't expense more than your revenues. So once you get that, obviously most of those districts decide not to do that. Our target's $1 million. And as Pete said, and it says right here, the roof, 30,000, the chiller, he put 300,000 here, but it's going to be more money than that. And those things we have to take care of. We have to make sure our kids cannot learn if they're sweating or they're freezing or whatever the case may be. So, and our teachers, they shouldn't be expected to work in those conditions either. So that's something that we have to take care of. Obviously, that's up to Pete and you guys to do the order of importance. But these are all things that really have to be done for our kids to have a great experience and to learn in the best conditions.
So the target RSA balance changes with the year as well, because things like roofs, there's inflation applied to that stuff as well, right?
Yeah, we want to keep growing it, and obviously for obvious reasons, because we're going to spend. And so we have to keep growing it. So honestly, next year our RSA might be $280,000, but we had to spend so much money to, you know, get the roof fixed, get the chiller fixed, but we're still going to try to grow that each and every year. And that's up to you guys to decide the 0.5, 0.6, or any other value that you guys want of our total expenditures. Or if there's another way you guys want to do that. This was just something that Pete and I, you know, worked on and looked at, and this is what other districts would do.
I think alongside of that with the target balance, a target balance needs to maintain them ratios as well. I mean, that is what it feels like because of the cost of things are going to continue to go up.
Sure, yeah.
So that would continue to grow. So everything kind of runs on these percentages inside of that. That 1 million off of that 33 or almost 34 million is just shy of 3%. Was that your kind of your?
And that's where I was going, and I don't. Yeah, I didn't think that the list, the roof, the chiller, curriculum, resurface track, lead remediation, does all that add up to $1 million or no?
Depends on the chiller. Like, you know, I don't have the, have you gotten the quotes on the chiller, but it said earlier 300,000, 800,000. So, and we're hoping honestly that if we can do, we have to do the chiller, that we can get some sort of a 4 or 5 year lease loan, however we want to phrase that, like we do our Chromebooks, our copiers and all that. So a lot of things on the table right there, but just got to be aware that, you know, this $669,000 is within our fund balance. So if we go and spend a bunch of money, our fund balance will come down, as will discipline.
I was just thinking that the list of things should add up to the $1 million.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I hadn't done that yet. No, I can absolutely put that together.
No.
Oh.
Because that list could change
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that list is constantly changing and evolving. So I mean, it's
Like
a savings account. You have some general bucket items. You have some general bucket items for your savings account, but you're not accounting just for them or.
So
So
when I put this up here, chiller depends on parts. That was when I thought the parts would fix. Nope, that's I can take that off track. The quote is 481 to 757.
It depends on the thickness of the track that we want. Whether we want it to be blue or red or black.
The thickness goes to years of duration, I'm assuming.
Blue track.
Eastern, come on. We don't have Michael Loops.
Here, I'm just put a red track in.
Come on.
Hook.
Secretly, he's castle.
But that's that comes in. That comes into the conversation because I want you on the track to survive. Then how do we do that? I mean, again, my guess is when we put this track in, it was probably closer to the 481 version. But again, there's only can do what we can do. Yeah, spend more than man.
Agreed.
And I think that's it. If there are any questions, so email me. You guys have done that, so you know where I work. Thanks.
Questions, comment for the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to 6.2 ASB membership fees, sports participation user fee increase. Can you bring us up to speed on that, Pete, please?
I'm gonna tap Matt to talk about this one. Come on down. Use the Monty Hall mic.
So, thank you. So that number you saw for the ASB fund balance was 200-some thousand, is that correct?
Yes.
Provided that
No.
is coming as you.
Right. But the problem with that is all those, we have about 50 different clubs and sports that have fundraised for that money. We don't touch that as a general ASB. General ASB, their only fundraisers are ASB cards, user participation, and the gate fees. So we're looking at increasing our participation fee or our user fee from $60 to $70, 75 is what it was approved by ASB, but
obviously we need your approval as well. And then our ASB cards from 25 to 40. The last time we increased the amounts, it was 40 and 15, and we're still one of the lowest in the county in Southwest Washington if we were to raise those amounts. Something was brought up, well, maybe because that would revenue about $15,000. The reason we need that, I did bring a list. One thing we need to increase is our meal allotment money for kids when they go off the state. Right now, they are only getting $10 for dinner and $8 for lunch and $0 for breakfast. Assuming we get hotels that have the continental breakfast for free. But as you guys know, for $10 for dinner, where are you going for that? So we really need to not even McDonald's anymore. I know. So we're looking at increasing that. Hotel costs. They have gone up tremendously. If you've spent the night in a hotel in the last 3 to 4 years, they've gone up. In fact, for Wrestling State, we spent $289 a night per room, when it used to be our policy not to spend more than $179 a night. Like, so that has gone up over $100, and we had to just do it because Tacoma was charging that, and that's the only place where state wrestling is.
You didn't have to pay $400 a night because that's what the rooms were going for. They were very expensive.
Yeah. We still like to keep the same uniform cycle. When I got here in 2013, we were on a 7-year rotation. That means once every 7 years, a varsity team got a new uniform. That was one of the first things that I looked at changing. So we went to a 4-year cycle. The costs have gone up, so we went to a 5-year cycle 5 years ago. In fact, we're up next year on our contract. So keeping up on that, keeping up on our facilities. The other thing, cost of officials just for 1 year this year, I just calculated it all, was $41,964 for just our officials bill.
And that's an increase.
That's an increase of about $8,000 just in 1 year.
I'm just wondering if the 15,000 that you were asking for, does that really get you under, or do you need more?
I mean, we're looking at what we need and not what we want. Need is obviously what we try to strive for in schools. Could we use more? Absolutely. It'd give us a little bit more flesh to be able to spend things for other teams and for our facilities. Thinking real quick, the track equipment. We just bought a couple new javelins. They were kind of spendy. They were $500 each. Yeah. Case of baseballs, $120 now.
How many is in the case?
12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not 24.
Not 24. So anyway, I mean, I'm just giving you, costs are going up, so that's the reason why I'd like to increase our fees. Or there was an idea that maybe the district would like to allocate some funds to the ASB to offset that, so that the community doesn't, or the families aren't, so that we don't have to raise those fees. So that's the item that is, I guess, being brought to you. Do you have any questions for me?
I know the answer, but I assume if they cannot afford the fees that we have in place for them to snow.
So we have House Bill 1660 that was passed 3 years ago now, I believe. So if a student qualifies for our free and reduced program, we have a path for them to get their fees waived. Yes. And I think we've waived almost 25 this year. I don't have the exact number, but 25 to 30 right now, athletes total for the whole year.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, and the cost of everything has gone up, so I mean, it seems very fitting. I mean, it's no different than lunch, so.
Yep.
It feels like it falls in line, so.
So can I get a motion to allow ASB to increase the fees as Matt described?
I'll motion to allow ASB to increase fees as prescribed by MAGNA.
Can I get a second on that? So, right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes.
Thank you.
That brings us to 6.3, Cispus, 6th grade success plan discussion. This discussion came about at our workshop, our last workshop when we were in the Teaching and Learning Center. A community member brought it up, and we've, we didn't do anything for Cispus last year, and sounded like the board was interested in a plan, at least, of something being done this year. But I know the timing is tight at the moment because you're planning for something that's going to happen in September, October kind of timeframe. But we'd like to get it on the agenda here for the next 3 meetings if necessary. I think I know that I've told Pete that the board is not interested in getting in the middle of approving, disapproving, whatever you and a working group comes up with. We're just looking for something to happen this year. So I know you and I talked before this meeting. Maybe you could list some benefits, some challenges, and let's talk about getting a work group together to work on that.
So the idea of something happening this year isn't, or who's counting? How many days?
16 now?
15 days.
I meant this calendar year.
Okay.
Right, in the fall.
You said this year.
September.
I'm a superintendent. My years are.
This year goes all the way to December 31st, every single year. Whatever you do.
Okay, trying to tell you no. All right. So as far as trying to put some things together, I did talk with Dave. I also listened to the workshop. That's not the first conversation we had. We had it a while ago. It's an interesting animal right now, as far as trying to, how do we get that back up and running? And what I'd really like to do is be able to move forward, not rehash what happened, and how can we sort of revive? And that's, so you go back to the presentation that I had with the start. I listed out, and I listed out, I had a list, and it talked about some of the benefits, some of the challenges. As I was looking at that, it made old systems as well, like dark and dreary and sad face, and then the new ideas were all happy and bright colors, and that was not the intent. So I looked at it there, I thought, oh, great, just use better colors. But that, regardless, I would like the idea of moving forward with a discussion group or a committee, and propose ideas of what could go into next year, and work with Annie and Dave as far as that goes. And really, there are a lot of barriers. Cost is a barrier, supervision, getting parents to give up a week of work, their vacation time, to go be at Cispus. It was challenging. That I think it was very challenging to get people to get that much time off. Challenge of using high school students for Cispus. I mean, there are a lot of challenges, but I think there's ways through. And the best way through was modeling some of the work after 9th grade success plans. And the idea of pulling 9th grade in and getting them ready. And then the idea of having 8th grade be the leaders and keep the leadership and leadership development within the middle school. So when we send kids from 8th grade to 9th grade and on to high school, we also have some core leadership that can be capitalized when they get into high school as well. And so, yes, I think we can put together a committee and start taking a look. I did send you a report Friday with some of those same ideas. So yes, we can do that.
Cool.
Dave, did you want to say anything?
Said it all, honestly.
Okay, that's good. I'm not, yeah.
No, but we do want to make sure that there is something 6 years. I would say comparison minimal. It was student led this year by our 6th grade ASB leaders, but some stuff done, and there's still one more thing gonna happen, but we would like another opportunity for our 6th graders, regardless of what it is.
What was the opportunity that came out of it being student led?
The student led one was, my suggestion was, hey, let's send you guys on a field trip somewhere. Like, no, we want a movie night. It's like, I could do a movie night if that's what you guys want. So that's what we did, was a movie night. We have another opportunity going on for them here in another couple weeks. It is, there are some ties to grades and behavior and stuff like that. So this one's an earned opportunity. It's not necessarily a bonding opportunity.
like something like this. So.
What was the origin of Cispus? Didn't it come out of the legislature at some point? It was supposed to be an outdoor school. Was that where it started?
So it started with, it was sponsored by WASA and AWSB. Did you go when you were a kid? You did. Yeah. See, when I was a kid, we had scouts. Literally, Boy Scouts, it was the thing. And we did all our camping outside of the family were with scouts. But for outdoor school, I first came into it 30 years ago in Kelso when we'd send kids off to Cispus, but I don't know if they can afford it. But the grants, the legislature came through with grants, and they were helping to offset some of those costs because it could be $35,000 to $40,000 to go. That's not included. That's just the room and board at Cispus. So,
but those grants have gone away.
Grants have dried up. So that's where you, okay, not overnight, but we could do there's things we have a high ropes course, we have low ropes activities, we have ways to build the belonging and relationships. And there are actually significant friendship changes from 5th to 6th grade. And puberty.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear from some. To hear from some high schoolers. On their experience or kind of what their reflection of what they took out of Cispus. And kind of tie that back in. So maybe that's something that. If there's someone that we could ask at the high school level to. Kind of quiz some students, that'd be interesting to tie back into this plan.
The COVID kids. My son's class is juniors, they never went.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there was a parent organized in Cispus during those years. I heard some funny stories when the parents took kids in those. So some kids got their hands dirty, and it was a surprise. So it was good for them to be outdoors. Okay, so working group. What are we thinking for a working group? A board member, you, Dave, a couple of community members, maybe Manny, maybe some feedback from high schoolers that we can get.
That'd be good.
Well, can you stand that up?
Yep.
Awesome. You can,
any board interest?
Yes.
Thank you. It's awesome. Cool. Anything else to say about that? Seeing none, we'll move on to future agenda items. Anybody have anything that they want to add to a future agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll talk about the board schedule. So we have graduation Friday, June the 5th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the high school stadium. Again with Pete, hoping for not windy and dry weather. Talking on wood, anything available. Also a budget hearing and regular board meeting on Tuesday, June 23rd, 7 p.m. in the high school library. That moves us to part 7.0. We do have an executive session this evening. We think it should last about 20 minutes, and that's what we need to do. So we can ask the audience to leave. Board will discuss and be back in 20 minutes. If we're going to take longer than 20 minutes, then we'll let you know. And there won't be any action during the executive session.